Hey guys, J77 back here again doing a actual political slash news vlog. I'm gonna be very quick about this. As you guys know, Fred Phelps passed away a few days ago, and needless to say that a lot of people on YouTube and other social networks have pretty much voiced their opinion, and pretty much is overwhelmingly they're glad to see him gone. I'm not going to be one of them. I never really go to that line of saying I'm glad someone is dead, or wish someone ill will. He's gone, and the sad part about it is that he leave a legacy that will be forever deemed as hateful and despiteful. This is something that is pretty much an update of what's going on with his funeral arrangements. And to simply put, there won't be any funeral arrangements. This is according to his daughter, who basically said there will not be a funeral, so basically you're just going to bury him and just leave it at that. And this is coming out pretty much as a move, no surprising, because of what this church have done. They have pretty much made it their business to protest military as well as other places including children's funerals, because they believe that this was a sign of being more open towards homosexuality. This so when I hear this is gonna that there will not be any funeral for the guy, this is pretty much obvious that they don't want nobody processing processing his funeral, his services. This is again coming on the wake of what a lot of people have said, and also what Westboro have done, and feel justified as doing under the amendment. Now, he died at the age of 84. There was a lot of stuff that's being said. One of the daughters who left the church had basically and pretty much have said in a statement that she was sorry for the harm he caused, that we all cause. But he could be so kind and wonderful. I wish you could have seen that too. Kind of hard to do that when you are actually protesting people's graves, especially those who have gave their lives, and also disrespected those who are alive but have lost part of their sanity and part of their limbs to get the freedom that you guys have used, which he have used, and what the Westboro have used. So there are going to be no sympathy for that. As for me, the guy is gone. I can only hope that people have seen what he have done and learned the mistake have done, as well as the consequences of going by pure hate and nothing more. The article pretty much states, and it says here, that they grew up on a strictly fundamental interpretation of the Bible, was mainly comprised of family members, including 9 of 13 Phelps children and a number of grandchildren. So again, I have to ask the question, just how strong this Westboro Chapel Church really is, if pretty much the majority of it is family members of his own group. But then again, they're still around and they're still going to do their thing. So it says here that Phelps settled in Topeka, I believe it is Topeka, Kansas, in 1954, and 1 year later he had his first church service. The Westboro Baptist Church is not affiliated with the mainstream strain of the Baptist faith, but is mostly aligned with the primitive Baptist Church, much smaller, sculpture-based sect in which members believe they are selected by God to survive Judgment Day, and their time on earth is met to preach salvation. Starting in the early 1990s, the Westboro Baptist Church began picketing funerals, attracting worldwide attention. The group travels far and wide to show up with signs outside of funeral service to military veterans, gay rights activists, AIDS victims. Again, this is part of the reason. It's not just one situation. There's a whole lot of situations, and others to spread their message that their deaths were a result of God-hating Americans' bankrupt values. Oh boy. The controversial generation was not necessarily tied to the Baptist belief or even his literal reading of the Bible, but more of his unwavering comments to putting his belief into action, saying that Timothy Miller, a professor of religious study at the University of Kansas in um, in Lawrence. If you took away Westboro's flamboyant style, you find there quite a lot of people share their points of view to a fair extent, but the cause that what they did, their actions offend so many people, Professor Miller said. Lawsuits hounded the church, but they managed to clear the legal hurdle, allowing members to continue picketing funerals and lawmaker and landmarks. The 2011 ruling, this is something that's been very key. The U.S. Supreme Court held that grieving families and others cannot sue the church for damages due to free speech protection of the First Amendment. Phelps earned his law license in 1964, but was disbarred in Kansas in 1979 because of ethical violations. His family law firm has operated by 5 of his children, plus a daughter-in-law who also attorney dedicated to both pushing through the church issues in court and protesting it from legal challenges and protecting it with legal challenges. The family is thick with lawyers. Most of the kids who were not excommunicated are lawyers. It costs them nothing. They are quite good with First Amendment laws. They manage to by hook or by crook win very complicated cases, which is true. Citizens of Topeka in particular have grown used to the presence of Westboro members by picketing most weekends outside of movie theaters, universities, government buildings, and more. The church operated outside of Phelps' home in a compound surrounded by security gates, cameras, and large banners advertising the church website. And the article also says that it is really embarrassing for the city, says Barry Crawford, a religious professor at Westboro University in Topeka. I hope I'm saying the name right. The nation that is picking will purse now is burning some relief to the community. But the Professor Crawford predicted that they will likely be just monetarily. I can't imagine picketing stopping. The signs can be really nasty. There are some optimism that things might change, but I'm not too sure about that, he said. And I don't think it's going to change too much. These guys are so into that cult mentality that I seriously doubt they're going to change that. Again, I never considered them as a church. I don't. They are totally doing the opposite of what a church is supposed to do, and they do it in such a way that even if you agree that about the lifestyle of certain people, the fact that they're doing this in the front of a veteran's funerals, in front of even children's funerals, because that was also one of the major big things, and even going as far as picking on people who has nothing to do or have any kind of political say whatsoever. They choose to do that. I'm beginning to question their true motivation, and that's pretty much is to spread the word of hate by any means necessary. Again, it is kind of not so shocking that they choose not to have a funeral for him, because let's be honest, the moment they make an announcement that that Fred Phelps' funeral is going to be held at such date, you better believe that the people will give him a taste of his own medicine, picketing, basically putting a lot of other signs, and they don't want that. Like I said, when it comes to these kind of people who preaches this kind of hate, they can dish it, but they cannot take it, and no question, they cannot take the fact that there are going to be lots of people, thousands of people maybe, picketing his funeral, but it won't be none, at least not in public. Then it doesn't necessarily mean they may have a private visual within the household and then just bury him from there. That could also be a possibility, you don't know. But in terms of public announcements like that, it doesn't shock me at all. If anything, I would have been stunned if they actually went through it. But what's your opinion about this? What do you think about this? Are you surprised that this happened, and are you surprised that they decide or do you think the church in general will actually slow down now that their leader is gone? Keep in mind, From what I understand and what I've read and what I've heard in the news, he hasn't really been active with the church for a long time, and that alone says a lot about who's actually running the church now. Maybe a family member, maybe someone who is close to him. But it does raise the question: where did this church go from here? Personally, I don't think they're going to stop. I think they're going to keep going. I think they're going to feel like this is a motivation to keep the legacy alive. But what do you think about this? Do you believe that this church may actually slow down and that the people just grown tired of it and just ignore them? Or do you think that this will actually bring more members, if that's possible, to believe what they believe? Leave your comments below. Let me know. Until then, J77, signing off.